All right, welcome guys to the How Do You Health podcast. I'm really excited today because we get to talk to Ann Woods, and she's over in San Francisco. She runs a holistic care clinic, basically, for the most part, right? But your main focus is acupuncture. So we're going to get into all of that here in a second. But I haven't done a podcast in like a month now, and so I'm excited to be back on the communication. Kind of. Let me close this. Yeah, on the communication circuit again, because we get to talk to people about what they love to do, and get to have a lot of fun with it. So, and can you give the listeners and viewers a little brief introduction of who you are? And actually, before I do that, I also got to introduce Jen Smith, and so she's also an acupuncturist. So I'm going to be excited about this conversation a lot. So let's get the party started.
Yes. Hey, Baldo. Hey, Jen. So nice to see both of you today. Very excited to talk with you today. Thanks for having me on. So, yes, I'm Ann Woods, licensed acupuncturist and herbalist, and I founded the Garden Wellness Clinic, which is here in San Francisco. We are an acupuncture clinic and holistic medicine clinic. We treat all sorts of patients and clients anywhere from, everyday common symptoms, internal medicine, holistic skincare, pregnancy support, fertility support. You kind of name it, we support it. So yeah, really happy to be here and talk to you about all of that today.
Awesome. I there's a question that I added a little further into the little I guess doc that we sent earlier, but I want to get into that question first. And basically, it's the question about like what got you into wanting to study acupuncture? Like how did that become a passion, or maybe even like when in your studies did it become such a passion?
Great question. So I got into acupuncture and Chinese medicine probably after a really bad car accident that I had when I was a teenager. And at the time, I was being raised by a mom who was a Western medicine nurse, an RN, and didn't know what acupuncture or Chinese medicine was. And I had some pretty bad whiplash, and we tried acupuncture. And not only I was just blown away by the entire session. So not only did she give me this incredible treatment, but I walked out with nutrition guidance, with exercises, and a whole plan to help my neck heal and get better. And I just had never been treated that way by a doctor before, or, I think we all share a really similar story, those of us who have experienced acupuncture. And then again, I had a couple of acupuncture mentors, I'd like to call them, when I was living in Austin, Texas, where you guys are.
Yeah.
And they were so interesting. I was so curious about how does this work? How you put these tiny little metal sticks all over the body and then all of a sudden healing happens, right? And at the time I was in college, so I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and some hormone imbalances. And I was able to work on all of those things with just acupuncture and really witness a lot of beautiful healing. And I'm so grateful for those women. And they definitely inspired me to go to school and get into this system of ancient medicine and natural medicine, right? So it's been a really fun journey. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy because when I think you know this, but the business that I get to run with my best friend, he's a chiropractor, so there's a lot of information coming from like ancient practices with like chakras and with like all of that. But as far as acupuncture goes, I didn't do any acupuncture since until I met Jen, and I think that was one of the things that we were kind of connecting about was to like, hey, I want to try this sometime. And I think it took a while, even after we were friends for a while, that I was like, hey, can we try this already? Because like I keep hearing your excitement about it. What was your excitement with it? Like, how did you come into acupuncture?
Such a similar story to Anne. Like, I think we all have this story of I was actually experiencing skin issues, just like so allergic and so reactive. And now I look back and I'm like, of course it was stress and my nervous system was all out of whack. But this was a long time ago. And, every dermatologist gives you like a topical cream or something and sends you on your way. And then, kind of out of desperation, I went to acupuncture, and really similar to what you said, Anne, where I just sat with this woman and she asked me so many questions beyond what was happening with my skin. And I was kind of enamored with it and so curious. And she told me my liver was hot, and I was like, oh, what's my liver? And then went down the rabbit hole of trying to understand what all the terminology meant. And and just became so curious about the medicine, because it's kind of, it's so old and it's not easy to understand, but it's so effective.
And how many years is to get a degree in acupuncture, or to become a doctor, I guess?
Really depends. I think the institution in general is leaning more towards a doctorate degree, similar to what happened with physical therapy, was a master's in science, and then they just kind of encompassed in a doctorate. So I have a master's in science and traditional Chinese medicine, and so that was about 4 years, and then also completed an undergraduate degree in Austin in psychology and studio arts. And so I was in school for a very long time.
Where in Austin did you go to school at? Where are you going to school?
I went to St. Edward's.
Oh, okay. I think I remember that. Yeah, because I remember saying to you that that was my rival school, because I went to St. Mary's in San Antonio,
Oh,
and I was a
yeah.
tennis player, and that was like that we were like the two, like, as far as quality of level, it was like pretty good. Everyone else was either like way better than us, or like we were way better than them, and so St. Edward's was a nice one to play with, because it was always going to be like a challenge, and you never know who was going to win. But that was a lot of fun. But to your,
Cool.
I want to get to your practice, because that's what's exciting about. I've seen you guys work together as well on what you guys are doing, and people on social media get excited about it. And I mean, tell me about it. Tell me what your favorite thing about it right now is, and give us a little introduction into your practice.
Sure. So I love my practice, first and foremost.
Oh
My
yeah.
patients are just the most incredible people I've ever met. I'm so inspired by them every single day. We are at I mean, sometimes I think it's the city, because we're in such a big metropolis. That's why so many interesting people come in, but I don't know. We have artists, we have designers, we have CEOs, we have um, scientists, engineers, and what's interesting is most of them are women. And so we see and treat a lot of women who are in very high, um, important careers, and take them very seriously, and are also trying to live a full and healthy lifestyle. And so I would say that the person that we are treating the most is going to be someone who is extremely career driven and motivated by their passions in their life. And they also so classically want it all, right? They want to be healthy, they want to exercise, they want to eat well, they want to love well and hard, they want to have a family, they want to be present for their life and their career. And so I feel like it's our job through the medicine to teach them how to live this really full, vibrant life, and do it well, and do it in a way that honors their energy and their constitution, and is really full of trust and respect for the self. So our treatments are extremely customized. I wouldn't say that, we do put people on treatment protocols, but it's extremely customized for what's best for them and how their bodies are showing up. Um, yeah, and it's just such a gift, and I love it every single second of it. I can't get enough of it, and it's really my dream job to empower women mostly to live these dream lives, and
Oh yeah.
it's so fun. And then on the side of that, we also specialize in holistic skincare. And so not only are we treating, like I said earlier, we're treating internal medicine conditions like hormones, autoimmune disease, allergies, migraines, anything and everything under the sun. And we work on a team as integrative medical practitioners. So we're not here to push out the MDs or push out emergency medicine or anything like that. We love teamwork. So we're all about working with our patients, what we call their wellness team. So I'm going to expect that when someone comes in, they're already going to have blood work done. They're already going to have an MD. They're probably working with either like a PT if they have a pain condition, or a dermatologist, like Jen was saying, if they're coming in for a skin condition, and we're going to work together on a team. So no one's going to step on anyone's toes, and we're all just going to be really supportive and collaborative to get these results that the patient is looking for. Yeah. And then, from a dermatology perspective, we love all natural skincare and we love holistic skincare, everything. And I can't wait to tell you more about that because we've sort of pioneered, I think, a new and exciting way to treat the skin and natural skincare and really change the narrative on cosmetics in the US. So, yeah.
I'm really excited about how you get so excited about talking about your business because that's how I always felt about different businesses. And sometimes, like, when people say, like, man, I hate my job, and I'm just like, don't do it. Like, why? Like, you could do something that you love so easily, but well, not easily, but always worth it. I do have a comment though about you said that you have all sorts of women coming in from like CEOs and all the way to like trying to live fulfilled lives and do all the things. And so I imagine you have amazing conversations in there. Am I correct on that? Yeah. And then,
Absolutely.
and it's the garden. It's in San Francisco. Uh,
Yeah, can you just describe like set the scene for people because it is the most incredible space. I had the pleasure of working there for a little while when I lived in San Francisco, and I would just look forward to spending time there. Like the energy, the smell, like everything. So I don't know how many listeners are in San Francisco, but if for anyone that is there, like it is such a pleasure to spend time. Can you just
It really
describe the
is.
beauty of the garden?
Yeah, sure. So we were extremely fortunate during the COVID-19 pandemic. We opened our doors in October of 2020. And if you all remember, that was very shortly after the shutdowns in March of 2020. And we took a big risk, but we were fortunate to absorb this beautiful, sunny cottage on Sacramento Street, right next door to a Michelin star restaurant and surrounded by these beautiful homes in a quiet neighborhood that's right on the San Francisco Bay. I can actually see the Golden Gate Bridge from the corner of the street, which is really cool. And
it's awesome.
there's just open doors to the treatment rooms. The sun just drenches the entire cottage. It's really quaint, and we're truly a garden too. So we have a teaching garden off of one of the treatment rooms that we call the sunroom properly because it's so sunny in there. Yeah, and I like to. I'm a big gardener myself, and the garden is always a healing place and has been a healing place for me in my life. And so naturally, the garden wellness clinic was an obvious choice. But the teaching garden, we switch every season, and right now we're still growing our kind of late winter, early spring vegetables. We have Swiss chard, we have carrots, we're growing lavender, Meyer lemons, limes, getting ready for spring, summer season seeds and plantings. And yeah, it's such a pleasure to be there. Like Jen is saying, the way that it smells is really beautiful. It's fresh air mixed with all of the gorgeous hydrosols that are, wild harvested plants or organic plants that are grown on a micro farm just like 15 minutes away in Sausalito. It's the cream of the crop to me. It's just, again, it's my dream clinic. There's stained glass windows and watercolors hanging on the walls and custom woodwork, and we're very into the design
So you have
of
birds
the
growing there
space.
as well, like all that. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and vegetables and citrus and yeah.
Nice.
So sometimes I'll go out and grab some mint and toss it in hot water and have a little tea while I'm typing my notes. And
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
So nice.
it's really
Would be
sweet.
kind of like
Yeah.
you said there's a nice restaurant, right? Like it'd be nice, like a nice date night, like a go do like a
Hmm.
couples. I don't know, even I've never done
Hmm.
anything like this, so I don't even know what you would call it. But everything like a couples acupuncture session, get super chilled out, go get nice meal,
Yeah,
maybe some wine
we
afterwards.
have
I don't
it.
know. That's cool.
Yeah, we have a lot of mothers and daughters coming in or friends coming in who, someone has a friend in town, they'll come in, they'll each get a facial back to back, and then they'll go have lunch or brunch or something at the restaurant next door. And or just go for there's honestly we're nestled right up on the Park Presidio, so you could just walk 3 blocks towards the water and you're in nature. So you could go for a hike. I lean more towards the hike than the wine after acupuncture.
Yeah, no, I would imagine so too. So walk me through a acupuncture facial. Like, what can people expect on that? Because like for me, first thing I hear about that. Now I'm always down to like fuck it, let's do it kind of deal. But at the same time, it's a little like, whoa, the needle's going into my face. Like,
Hmm.
walk us through the process because I know it's not scary, especially like in that environment, and it's becoming more of a thing, especially because that's a big focus of your practice. Is that correct? Yeah. So walk us
Yeah,
through
I would
the
I would
session
say
and how that
so.
goes.
Sure. So acupuncture facials are incredible, first of all. It's definitely not scary. Even though it sounds a little scary at first to have acupuncture needles in your face. I understand that completely, but to be honest, the entire theme and ethos of the treatment is about being gentle and kind of this conversation and concept of, rewriting the way that we think about beauty entirely. So we have just been absorbing, consuming, listening, seeing, hearing, like repeating just a lot of toxic stuff about the way that we are supposed to be in terms of beauty, right? In America. Um, Media literacy is a huge interest of mine, and how we can filter out a lot of that noise that is pretty toxic actually and not really serving anyone. And we kind of encourage our patients within this beauty treatment, right, to redefine the way that they see themselves and redefine the way that they witness themselves. And one of my first questions I always ask people in an acupuncture facial is, what do you love about your skin?
Do you
And
have a more popular
you,
answer to that?
well, do you know what people do? They go, what? They're totally shocked, super, super confused, and a lot of them don't know how to answer that question. And so
Mm.
that immediately tells me that there's a lot of work to be done here and within this practice. And we can use science, we can use modern medicine, and we can use traditional medicine to all, and also these theories of women's empowerment, to all kind of weave this really beautiful treatment where they're leaving with tightened, brightened, glowing, radiant skin from the beautiful botanicals we're using, from the acupuncture needles, from the treatment. And also, they're getting a full body, whole body health treatment as well on top of it. So, side effects of this treatment include like less anxiety, improved sleep, better hormone health. Um, it's not just about the skin. So, my cliche joke is, it's deeper than surface level, right? We really are treating the whole body in these treatments, and also the mind and the psyche, the spirit, the whole the whole body. Yeah.
Uh, can you get into a little bit about the science? And I want to expand on that question because, or on that, on that ask because, you know, I hear what you're saying from people always, especially with like social media and all that, and they want to look a certain way and all that, and then they go and do like the Botox and like all that stuff that can be a lot of chemicals on your face and it could be damaging. And sometimes you have to be very careful how you do it because I've seen people, you know, do fantastic with stuff like that, but then I've also seen like horrible situations with that, as I'm sure
Mhm.
you have as well too. But what is the difference between doing something traditional like that, which in a sense that acupuncture would be the traditional thing to do because it's like thousands of years old. Um,
Mhm.
but like, what's the difference between someone doing that type of modality as opposed to maybe embracing themselves and what they can do for themselves? Can you speak a little bit about the science? Maybe you have a comment as well too after. Okay.
Yeah, I would love to hear what Jen has to say too. So what I'm here, I guess the question I'm hearing you ask is what is the what are the benefits of both? Like what's the difference in the benefits of both? Maybe the more traditional or like modern route, which is Botox fillers, MD, kind of like med spa treatments versus the acupuncture facial treatment. Is that
Yeah,
right?
or like the pros
Okay.
and cons, right? Because like whenever you
Sure.
look at like sales sheets, right? It almost, but this is, but I know that part of it, and this is what I want to hear is is the benefit more of empowering yourself as opposed to just like
Mhm.
relying on an external source, maybe.
Totally. Well, first and foremost, what I want to say is I do not want to pass any judgment on any woman for any choice that they make about their body. That is so big because honestly, that's the number one problem is women already feel so judged just from the get-go. Like the second they enter a social setting, there's already something kind of there. So if a person wants to get a Botox treatment, a filler treatment, or whatever, great. You know, if that's what makes you feel good about yourself and you feel healthy about that choice and you need that for your self esteem and your beauty routine, I'm totally on board with that. And again, integrative healthcare. So we support a lot of patients who do both acupuncture and med spa treatments. So that's, I just have to say that to
Yeah, of
get
course.
started.
Oh yeah.
And then yeah, and then because it's not my job to tell people what to do. It's my job to support them as their guide. And if they're interested in learning more about natural alternatives, which is what the cosmetic acupuncture procedure is, it's a natural alternative to Botox and fillers and other medical treatments that may be more chemical forward or toxin forward. It's a great service and treatment for people who are moms or new moms or pregnant. It's a great service for people who are worried about, toxic load in their body or want to live a more clean and natural lifestyle. This is an amazing alternative. And I always like to say, we're not going to get these Botox results either. So we're going to help you look your best. And we are going to see a lot of exfoliation and radiance and plumping and tightening, but we're not gonna see total relaxation of the frozen muscles, right? So Botox um, is an injection that relaxes the muscles in a way that they cannot move, um, to prevent future wrinkling and depth of the change of the skin. An acupuncture facial is different because what it's doing is we're inserting the acupuncture point into actual acupuncture energy centers of actual points in the face on the meridian channels, and we're going into what's called the collagen elastin matrix, and that's going to produce more natural collagen elastin that is from your body itself instead of adding it on top, if that makes sense. So
Oh.
I think yeah. What do you think, Jen? What are your thoughts on pros and cons of both?
Pros and cons. So acupuncture facial, I mean, it's aligned with any natural holistic treatment in the sense that you're treating like the underlying root of not the issue, but like the underlying health situation. And then it's also compared to like maybe some more mainstream Western stuff, it's also something that takes more time and consistency, right? So to your
Mhm.
point, you're not going to get like the frozen muscle look in one treatment. It's going to take consistency, but you're addressing like the structure and the underlying foundation of the skin to encourage it to be the best it can possibly be, which is in general what you were doing with acupuncture, right? It's like guiding the body back into its natural state of healing. Like the body wants to be able to heal and rejuvenate itself, and so acupuncture is doing the same thing. It's just guiding it in that direction, like giving it tools. um yeah.
Exactly. And that's a great point that I wanted to make as well is, the root of of acupuncture and, a Chinese medical appointment is we're going to figure out, like a detective, why your body is doing what it's doing and why it's talking to you in symptoms instead of in pleasure and ease, right? And we're going to help you with acupuncture to come back to that balanced state of ease and pleasure. So I always like to tell patients the body doesn't speak languages like English or Spanish or Turkish or whatever. Like, the body speaks in pain and pleasure and in energy and all these things that a lot of us either pay attention to or don't, right? And there's a spectrum with that. So if we can learn how to speak our body's language, we can really learn to help ourselves heal. And acupuncture does just that.
I love that. I mean, I wish I could get a text message from my body. It's like, hey, you need a you need a rest today. Okay, cool, perfect. I can do that.
Yeah.
I want to get into because I don't. There's so much here, but I want to get into this question about biohacking and anti-aging, right? Because from what I am gathering here, when people take the time to do this type of service for themselves, in a way, they're trying to relax. Because I know that a lot of aging is involved or is related to a lot of stress, or just stress in general, right? And sometimes stress can be good, but how do you perceive biohackers or biohacking, and then and the anti-aging movement as well?
Well, I have a question for you. So,
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in biohacking, and I would love to hear your definition of what is biohacking.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool, perfect. So biohacking is just, well, for me, in my definition and the way that I practice biohacking is
Mhm.
taking practices that do add a little bit of stress to my body, just for like hormesis, so that I can train my body in these slightly extreme situations, so that I can become more resilient to those same type of situations in a future situation that I can't predict. Right. So like
Mm.
the idea that like I can go do an ice bath, right, for like 3 to 5 minutes, and it's like shivering and you're cold, but you can learn how to control that shivering, and you learn how to control your breath, right? And so that in a situation that I am, maybe that can be stressful, or that I'm like fight or flight, I can go back into myself like, oh, I've been in this situation before. I can control my breathing and then still get out of the situation without being so distraught or so fear based or so scared. And so it's just like taking, for me, that's how I would define it, is taking, is on purpose, uh, taking on practices that maybe can be a little out of the ordinary and stressful, but for the purpose of learning how to become more resilient to those type of situations.
Okay, I hear that. Okay. Yeah. When I hear the word hacking, it sounds so extreme and intense to me
Yeah.
that I feel personally like I have a little resistance to that. But
Yeah.
that makes sense. Everything that you said makes a lot of sense and is relatable back to the science of acupuncture and how it works. And what I mean from my perspective is we're gentle medicine practitioners. Not all acupuncturists are gentle, but at the garden we really pride ourselves in gentle healing techniques. Almost like a less is more kind of a thing. Not that we're doing nothing. We're doing a lot, we're working really hard with our patients, but life already, it's kind of a concept of life is very hard already. And so let's see where we can get with some gentle healing. And also, again, going back to the psychology of skincare and beauty, inviting a little bit more gentleness into that has been really helpful for our patients. So, to answer your question, there is a description of how if we're talking about skincare still and how the acupuncture facial works from a scientific perspective, we are creating micro trauma to the skin and asking the collagen and elastin to arrive to the dermis, to the fat layer, to the cellular layer that creates elastin and collagen and make more of it. So in a way, it kind of matches your description of biohacking. Um, Even though I wouldn't call it that
Yeah, yeah,
probably.
yeah. Well, that's funny because the thing about the word hacking is kind of interesting, because usually you can you can correlate that word hacking into like a shortcut, right? Because I had an interview with
Yeah.
someone else about about the concept of biohacking. He was very much like, I don't like that because there's no shortcuts, like and then like any of these practices are really not shortcuts. You're making it a longer process because like you're trying to prepare yourself, so it's not necessarily a shortcut. But like the simple thing like blue blockers, right? It's like it's a hacking thing because like you don't want blue light after a certain hour, so you can get deeper sleep, and so like that's a biohacking practice, but like you're not. It's not
Mm.
really a shortcut, and I've always, well, because I'm into tech, and hacking really becomes a shortcut. Like, oh, if I can do this in two strokes, then now I'm hacking the whole system, as opposed to like having to write all the codes and stuff like that. But that's, and so
So
yeah,
what I'm hearing is more of like an efficiency, faster approach to the same result that you could get if you were taking the long route. Yeah, interesting.
yeah.
What do you think, Jen? What's your how do you relate biohacking to acupuncture?
Oh, well, your description, connecting the two makes sense. I'm with you in that my initial reaction to the word biohacking, I'm very resistant. My thought is like, why do we need to hack our biology? Why, can't we work with our biology and support it and nurture it and be gentle and love on it rather than say like this needs to change? And that's the same with like the anti-aging terminology, right? We're all aging.
Hmm.
So what why are we making it, why are we adding sort of this like negative connotation to it? But I guess if I think about what you're describing with biohacking and blue blockers and cold plunge and everything, maybe
Saunas.
maybe there's something with it applies to the modern world that we live in. And even with acupuncture too, right? It's like going back to kind of all these like ancient traditions and maybe how humans were supposed to live and evolve and take care of their health and wellness. I think it needs a rebrand. I think biohacking needs like a rebrand.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You
Yeah, I
know,
mean,
I
there's something very popular had termed it, and I think it was Dave Asprey that, because he considers himself the grandfather of biohacking. I think he came up with that term. And, I mean, he's got a
mm,
large presence, so you got to go with it.
but it is like, I guess acupuncture could fall in that category of biohacking, especially if you look at the connection to like seasonality in a way. I don't know. This might be a stretch,
yeah.
but the connection to the seasonality and living in alignment with nature and seeing our bodies as an extension of the earth, and we're using
Hmm.
tools to
But yeah,
connect.
is there different practices in acupuncture depending on the seasons?
Ooh, yes.
Definitely. I love talking about the seasons.
Yeah.
You're speaking my language. So about maybe it was a couple years ago, I created this self-published zine. Do you know what a zine is? It's
Like a
like a
magazine?
tiny little magazine. That's what it's a tiny magazine, zine. Self-published, and it is all about the 5 seasons of Chinese medicine. There's five,
Mm-mm.
not four. We celebrate late summer as well as one of the seasons. And within that,
In Texas, we have 3 seasons.
there are recommendations on how to treat your body that is found in the ancient texts of the medicine per season. And I love it. I think it works really well. I find, for myself and my patients, it's been really helpful. The more aligned I feel with nature's rhythms, the more ease and pleasure I feel in my body. And I seem to have less um, imbalances and symptoms that come up if I am living that way. And that ranges anywhere from the way we sleep, the way we eat, the way we um, move our bodies, and then also the adjustments. What do we add? What do we take away? And so it's this constant readjusting to the new season and the new energy of the earth. And maybe you could relate that to biohacking. I don't know, but there's definitely adjustments that we make that can encourage healthy and more vibrant living. And I found it to be very successful. And I just want to talk about it all day. So
Well, so can you talk a little? So we're in mid-April. This will be coming out like within a month or
Couple of
so,
weeks.
couple
Yeah.
weeks. Okay, so we'll still be in
Mhm.
spring season. Can you talk a little bit
Mhm.
about like for people that are wanting to live in alignment with the season? What are the practices, foods? Like, what is the rundown of spring? How should they be living? Or
Sure.
at least the teaser.
Yes, I will give you some really great info. So, first of all, in the lunar calendar, which is what we're operating from here, the spring season starts February 5th and ends on May 4th. And then summer starts May 5th and goes all the way through August 4th. So, we are actually coming up on the seasonal shift here in just a few weeks.
Ooh, okay. Maybe talk about that
So,
too, so we can.
yeah, well, I would love, since we're in spring, I'd love to talk about spring, and I'll also give you a couple tips for the summer too. But I want to share, I think what could be interesting is to share how they're different.
Yeah.
And if you're listening during spring and you're still, within a climate wherever you are that is still feeling like spring, that's what's important here, right? Don't get so locked in on the dates. It's really about nature's energies and what's happening outside and what the plants are doing and how you can incorporate these practices into your lifestyle, depending on your climate, right? That's what's really important here. So the spirit of spring in Chinese medicine, the liver and the gallbladder are the organ systems here, and we want to treat them really well with a fresh and healthy diet. It is the energy of yang energy within yin energy. So the spring energy transforms the yin energy of winter. Winter is yin within yin, like utmost yin. The climate is windy in the spring, so we can tend to get more anxious this time of year. The planet is Jupiter. So it's all about growth, goodwill, abundance. The color is green, so we want to incorporate more green foods into our diets. We want to be weary of anger this season too. It's common to get irritable and all that like windy energy. I don't know if you guys could feel that this season, but I definitely could. I get a little irritable sometimes when things don't go my way this time of year. So meditation practice is important, or an exercise practice to move that energy through. Yeah, and then the spirit is the ethereal soul. It's a spirit of planning and decision making. So it's really common to feel like we need to get our calendars in order and we need to get our decisions made. And what are we doing for the rest of the year? And the sleepy winter hibernation energy is done. So when we go into summer, things do change a little bit. That's going to be the heart and the small intestine. The energy is the yang energy within yang energy. So it's the ultimate time of yang. So it's all about like fire and heat and pleasure, play, excitement, getting out there, being more social, eating roasty, delicious, spicy foods, and also those fun, icy foods to help you acclimate to the heat. You guys definitely feel that in Texas down there. Got a lot of tips for that Texas heat whenever you need them. The emotion of summer is joy. It's easy to feel really, so the imbalance is more of like feeling scattered because you're so excitable that it's hard to kind of ground in the summertime. There's usually a lot going on. Laughter is also big this season too. So just that outward like sunshine expression. The blood vessels are important this time of year. So we want to take care of our circulation, our movement, incorporate deep breathing exercises, and continue to eat mineral rich foods and hydrate our bodies well so we don't get dehydrated. And it's a moment for consciousness, deep thinking, affection, memory, and sleep, because it's almost like we don't need as much sleep in the summertime. And fire element. So there's that's kind of a little taste of the zine, and some of the things that we talk about in the zine. And there's also a whole list of recipes and a grocery list that's seasonal, and what to look for at the farmer's market, and how to make more aligned decisions at the grocery store and things like that.
Anne is an unbelievable cook, so I imagine those recipes are like top notch. It'd be really fun to try some new seasonal.
Wait, do you have any recipes on your website?
I do. We just started a blog last month, or a month or two ago, And there's one up there. I owe the blog some more recipes. I'm writing them as we speak. There's, I think, a really good soup on there for winter. And so I'm, for spring and summer, I'm probably gonna do. I love making salads. Salads are not recommended all times of year, by the way, but for spring and summer they are. So for spring, I really enjoy a warm salad. So incorporating some warmth to the salad, but also with those fresh greens. So like I'm thinking like an arugula salad with dandelion greens, radicchio. It's really colorful, but also there's maybe like a grilled steak on top or grilled chicken or like, um, grilled tofu, whatever you need for protein, or even, something like roasted chickpeas in Cajun spice blend. That's a little spicy, but with that fresh, like fennel, radicchio, lemon kind of spring salad mix. And so you have a combo of, let's say, like roasted chickpeas and warm quinoa that's on the side of this bright green salad that's all colorful and crunchy and fresh. So that's spring. And then for summer, in the zine, we're gonna need another podcast just to talk about food, okay? For summer in the zine, I did a popsicle recipe, which was fun. So it's a watermelon kiwi popsicle that half of the popsicle is fresh watermelon juice, which is really hydrating and great for summer heat and cooling summer heat in the body or heart heat in the body. And then kiwi has that beautiful tang and also the fun little seeds. So visually, you have kind of like a color block popsicle. And they're really easy to make and fun for kids, and everybody loves those. Yeah.
So this on the website, this is the garden. What is it? The garden. What's the website?
Thegardensf.co.
Okay. And where else can people find you? Is there anything that you're promoting right now that people should sign up for, or anything like that?
Yeah, we have an email list that I would love for everyone to sign up for. That's probably where you're going to get the most content on the regs. There's the blog, of course. You can connect with us on our website, thegardensf.co. Follow us on our Instagram, thegardensf. There's always, some fun recipes or inspo on there. And yeah, lots of cool classes and workshops coming up. So we have some new offerings that I'm excited to share and build hype about, because they're going to be so special, of course, and wonderful. So keep stay tuned for those things, and we'll probably be announcing those on Instagram and email. So definitely follow us on those two channels. And yeah, we would love to connect. So if you're ever in San Francisco, please come visit and get a treatment and meet one of us, and we'd love to take care of you.
One other thing. So, where do you see things going for the garden, like in the next, couple of years? What are your plans for
Good question.
in the future?
Yeah, good question. So we are so fortunate to not just have a clinic in San Francisco, but we also have a wellness shop. And so people can actually come by anytime and shop the wellness shop, and also order online for local pickup. So if you need, top of the line holistic skincare or all natural first aid or your herbs, and you're, in San Francisco or visiting town, that's a great way to connect with us. We are encouraging our online presence. And so look out for some new content coming your way in the next year or so. And then I want to write a book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you can probably already tell that I really love talking about nutrition and food. So we'll see what's coming down the pipe in the next 5 years.
Well, that's
but definitely look out for some reading material from me.
Yeah, I mean, please go on the Garden SF, and you can find, I'm sure, all the links there as well too. Follow her on Instagram. Follow the Garden on Instagram, and I'm excited for what you have going on, because like your energy around speaking about the subject and your practice is exciting, and that's always, like, from my experience, it's always a recipe for success. And I'm excited for the people to also learn more about you and about your practice, and I can't wait to hear what else is coming down the pipeline. But
I know. Thank you.
any last comments? Any last advice or words?
Ooh, that's a tough one, putting me on the spot for last minute advice.
No pressure.
No pressure. Listen to your body. I think that's the best piece of advice, is your body is more wise than you think it is. So definitely, if you've never been to acupuncture, go check it out. Even if you're not in San Francisco, go find your local acupuncturist, book an appointment with them as soon as possible. They'll change your life for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That was Ann Woods from the Garden in San Francisco.
Thank you guys so much. Nice talking with you. Thanks for having me.
Aw.